Riverside Medical, and I'm going to show you and tell you a little bit about some of the we have the diabetic shoes, and they're made by Dr. Comfort, and Dr. Comfort, what's different about these shoes are, when you put your hand inside the shoe, they have less stitching, and they have a deeper toe box, and therefore, if you have neuropathy, because that's like the sensation in your feet. So a lot of people don't have feelings on it, so if you get a sore or blister, it could turn into an ulcer or something, and that's why they try to protect from that. I just brought a couple different types. We do have a book here that has all the shoes in it. There are dress shoes, there's tennis shoes, we also have work boots for men, there's sandals, and there's slippers. The slippers are, they start out at $60. The shoes start out at $165 and up. And if you have problems with your feet, we can do a mold, where you put your foot into like some foam, and then Dr. Comfort will make a mold to put inside your shoe. So if you have a higher arch, they accommodate your arch, or if you have flat feet, so it kind of forms to your foot, so that when you put a shoe on, it isn't uncomfortable for you. And then we also have the 70-foot socks, which are diabetic socks, in white, or I have a black pair of them. They have a little bit of compression. We can get them in this happens to be the knee style, and they're more cushioned on the bottom, and they don't have all that extra stitching. They just have it across the top right here a little bit. I'll pass that around so you can kind of see. And like I said, they have a little bit of compression, about 8 to 15, I believe it is. And they come in white, black, navy, and a brown. And you can get them into a crew, which would be here, a knee, and I believe you can get them into the ankles also.
So is that for edema, swelling, or is
Well,
that
it's
to
just
prevent sores?
It's just to prevent sores. It has a little bit of compression so that it does take care of some of the edema, but if you have edema real bad, or if you have lymphedema, then I would suggest going into a more compression stocking, like a 15-20, 20-30, and if you do, we have the wound care also, which are 30 to 40, and then they have like a liner also with them. So the other thing is, with Medicare now, they've really changed that with the insurance. So we have these sheets. If you would decide to get a pair from us, you have to have a face-to-face evaluation from your doctor. So you can't go into the doctor and say, oh, I have a cold, but as long as I'm here, can you check my feet because I want to get diabetic shoes. One of the stipulations is you have to be diabetic. Anybody can purchase the shoes though, but if you are diabetic, you can apply them to your insurance, which is Medicare. They usually pay 80%, 20% is you if you have a supplement. We also will bill that supplement. And it depends upon the documentation that the doctor puts in his notes if the insurance is going to approve it or not. So we can never say positively that it's going to be paid. But so you come and get a sheet from us, and then you make an appointment with your doctor, say I want a face-to-face to be evaluated for my diabetic shoes. So then he comes, and he'll fill out both of these forms, and this last form is like a foot assessment that he really did check your foot. Because if you have hammer toes, bunions, if you do have a slight ulcer on your foot, or if you have something, callus forms, then he'll also document all that. He'll document the sensation on your feet, because if you're not sensitive, then if you're walking and you don't can't feel your feet all the time or they're tingly, you're gonna know if you get a sore on your foot, so you have to check them regularly. So, yes.
The shoes are a certain price,
Mhm.
anywhere from $100 to $300-400, right?
They're about 165 to, and I believe the work boots are like 225.
Well, we have some that you have, how high was yours? 300 and 400?
300 or 400, but
Do
I
they-
had the.
But you had the inserts, and the inserts
Yeah.
are 275, and you get 3 inserts with your shoes.
Now, does the insurance like Medicare knock off a portion of it and says, okay, we're gonna pay this much and you pay the balance? It's kinda like your hospital insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they usually go according to the Medicare guidelines, which is like an 80-20,
Mhm.
but then
Up to
we
$100, for $100, they'll say, well, we'll pay 50% of it. Do they do that with?
well, usually they pay like the 80. But if we have, what do I wanna call it, the agreement with them that we would only get reimbursed at such and such a price, then that's all they're gonna charge your insurance also.
Oh, that's what I
Okay.
mean. Then you pay 20% of that, whatever it is.
Correct, yeah.
So can someone have more than one pair?
You can only get 1 pair, a year.
Same thing with the stockings, I mean,
Stockings, you can get 3 per leg.
3 per
Yeah.
bag.
But now, like the Sensifoot are not covered under, but see, Medicare only will pay for the 30 to 40 compression stockings with an open wound. And these Sensifoot, I believe, are like $16 a pair, and we can give you 20% because they're not covered. We can take 20% off automatically because they're not covered under insurance. Because Medicare and most insurances, otherwise you can check with your supplements if they would cover stockings at, some will at a 20 to 30, some will at 30 to 40, but usually Medicare guidelines are 30 to 40 with an open wound. So a lot of times your stockings are not covered.
But if they want you to wear them to prevent
They still won't.
sores.
They still won't though. And that's why we give a 20% discount.
That makes sense, that's why they're not gonna do it.
That's right.
We'll let you get it sore and then we'll take.
Then
care
we'll
of it.
do it.
Yeah.
But, and also the shoes, even if you have a diagnosis of neuropathy, if you don't have a diagnosis of diabetes,
It will not cover. No.
well, that doesn't make sense.
But like, and we, anybody can purchase these. It
Sure.
doesn't, you don't have to be diabetic just to purchase them. But if you look at the shoes, I can send some around too, and if you put your foot or your hand inside, you'll feel that there's hardly any stitching in the inside of those shoes. And you just put your hand inside and you can kind of feel that there's no,
And that's so that there's no rubbing or no irritation. so
cause
there's
no friction
sores.
to get a sore. And like I said, they have a deeper toe box, and they're made for people that have, sensitive feet. We have some brochures up here if somebody would like to look at. We have some coupons. I didn't bring a lot of these along because usually you just come and get them when you make your appointment and then take them up to the doctor with you.
So does anybody here have the shoes? Or- okay.
Didn't you
I
get
think
some?
she has a pair on, yeah.
Doris, did you get some of those shoes?
Oh,
So,
And
who,
I'm being fitted for a pair,
are you?
yeah.
Okay, so who in here has neuropathy? Okay, and anybody have diabetes? Neuropathy, so both, a little bit of both, okay. Not to get too personal, but just curious. And do you like your shoes?
Yeah, but I can't wear the inserts, so I wear them without the inserts.
We do have some that are called Power Sports insoles that you could try. I don't know if that would be better for you. They would not be covered under insurance, and they're about $30 a pair. And right now we have some of our Spankos,
You're fine.
and those are 50% off, and I believe those are $14 a pair. They have the harder insoles, or they also have just a
I
soft
do this all
insole
the time.
for the support. So that might be something you could come look at, maybe that would help.
We'll get you another.
What was wrong with your inserts that they didn't?
It made my,
Fill this up,
well,
right?
right now I have my legs are swollen, and I think I have an edema.
Oh, uh-huh.
And so I can't put the inserts in and put the shoes, it makes it too tight.
Okay. Do you have, in your box, when you got them, there was like a little blue insert also?
I don't remember.
Okay, because if you did have that, sometimes you could, if some people put that in their shoe and then they put their insert in, and then it's gonna be too, tight for them. So that's why I would check just to make sure that you don't have that in there either.
Well, my inserts came right in the bag, maybe in the box of shoes, like
Mhm.
that. I don't
Yeah, see,
remember.
cause otherwise they just have, they don't have anything in the bottom. And then sometimes there's or generally most of the time, there's just a little piece of blue, like liner, or like that should have been in the shoe, like when you buy them in a regular store. Sometimes people will take that liner out and put them in and then put their insert in, and that's why I just wondered if that happened,
I
cause
don't
of,
remember it being in there,
uh-huh.
cause I even tried those inserts in my old shoes to see
Mhm.
if it would work, but it was too tight.
I have inserts and I have to take out the insole in any pair of shoes I buy
Mhm.
and then put in my insert. Otherwise, you're too high, it doesn't hit you in the right spot.
Mhm.
Now, do you know, I got my inserts from a podiatrist and my insurance covered it, but I'm not on Medicare. Would Medicare cover perhaps inserts from a podiatrist for the neuropathy or whatever?
They might, I would, check with their insurance carrier or, their caseworker or whoever's on that. They might.
Yeah. Worth a shot.
Anybody else have any questions, or?
I had some of the other sheets on, foot health for diabetics and nerve damage, neuropathy, I just wanted to pass around. And we can review that too.
I got a question.
We've got enough.
She's got neuropathy and she doesn't have diabetes.
Oh,
What
okay.
really causes
Okay.
the neuropathy? I thought you got it because,
Well, you can, if you have diabetes, you can get neuropathy,
yeah,
but if you don't have diabetes and just have neuropathy like you, that's just it's probably like a nerve, from like a sciatic nerve or something like that it could be caused by. But do you have any edema, any swelling in your feet or anything?
A little in my ankles.
Because you could even try, we have they're like a trouser sock, but they're just a mild compression. It's like an 8 to 15. And they're nice and soft, and I'm gonna say they run probably about $20-25 a pair. Just off the top of my head, I'm not positive. And we could give you the 20% off on that. Anytime that we don't bill insurance for your stockings, we can give you 20%. Okay?
And the compression stockings, I think, make a big difference in that edema you'll find. Anyone who starts wearing them really finds it really makes a big difference. It's just you have to wear them every day. And then in the summer, it's a challenge because it's so warm. But, so I think most people are better in the winter with them. Yeah, really. I don't know if they've made the summer version yet of light, so. So the two documents I sent around are foot health for diabetics and then diabetes nerve damage neuropathy. And so it talks about what diabetic neuropathy is, and it is nerve damage caused by your diabetes. interesting, because when you read through here, you know, the symptoms are, of course, are numbness, loss of feeling, usually in the feet, the hands, it's your extremities. It causes slower reflexes, pain ranging from minor discomfort or tingling in the fingers and toes, to a potential deep ache that makes it hard to sleep or do daily activities. Weak muscles, painful sensitivity to the slightest touch. You know, when you read through here, so much of what it talks about is controlling your diabetes. So there's really no cure for diabetic neuropathy. The best way to do it is by just controlling your diabetes, keeping those blood sugars in check, watching what you're eating. But the biggest thing is when you are diabetic and you have neuropathy, if you have that numbness in your toes and you bang up against something, you might not realize that you did. You might not realize you have a cut or sore now on your foot, and then you potentially are at good risk for having you know, a wound start. It might start more on the inside and work its way, but once you're diabetic, you have a great chance of then that becoming, you know, worse and starting an infection. So that is one of the biggest things that you want to watch if you're diabetic and with neuropathy. It's just making sure you take care of your feet. And it says on the one foot healing or foot health for diabetics, washing your foot every day, keeping the skin soft, wear shoes and socks at all time, and really looking over your feet, because if they're numb and you're not feeling, if you banged up, you want to make sure you keep an eye on it. So that you don't have any sores that are starting, any blisters or anything like that starting, okay?
What if you don't have diabetes, but you got burning feet?
You've got burning feet. Have you talked to your physician?
I've done it before, yeah. Never came up with any answer, really.
Oh,
I was just wondering if you're thinking about water sock or something.
well, and it potentially could be a side effect of a medication or something. Have you looked it up on the internet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, maybe try that. I mean, it's very well, or even ask your pharmacist next time you go if you're on any medications, because it might be a side effect of medications.
He's had it all his life.
Oh, has
Or
he?
as,
Yeah, most of the
as
time, yeah.
an adult.
If I take my shoes off, I'm okay. If I put my shoes on, sometimes I can try a pair of shoes and all of a sudden I can tell they're gonna burn.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, it's okay.
Maybe it's something that he's allergic to in that fabric of the,
The rubber
The
silicone
shoe.
or, yeah.
So no shoes, huh?
No shoes.
Sounds like me. Moccasins for you.
I'm saying moccasins.
That's why I wear.
Yours
sandals.
burn on the bottom also?
Oh, terrible. But I burned my foot and I had neuropathy. And I'm always taking off my shoes.
Yeah, if I have my foot up in the air, if I take my shoes off, foot up in the air, I'm great.
And I'm even sensitive to the sock. If I have a sock on, it
The
just,
pressure. Yeah.
it has to be a certain sock.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like it's like nerve or muscle, because you said by putting your foot up, it feels better. And so I wonder if it's something with the nerve, muscle and
Yeah,
that,
good in the
so.
sand and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, oh. Well, hopefully some of this information has helped today. Feel free to grab any of the information on the table. We have this nice little book, Why Do I Need Diabetic Footwear? It just talks a lot about your feet as well. And it's always a good idea to keep that good relationship with your physician to monitor your diabetes and everything that's going on with it. So if you have any concerns, make sure you talk to them about it, okay?
I'm noticing all these shoes are wides, so anybody with neuropathy or diabetes should wear a wide? Or is
not
that just-
necessarily, we would measure your foot when you came in. And it's just that probably the ones I grabbed
Yeah.
must be all wide. But you can get them in the narrow, some of them will come in narrow, some go up to even double and triple E. Some of them we have that the shoe itself will peel right back. They have like an extra depth because a lot of people can't bend their foot to get even in a shoe. So we do have different options for them with those kind of feet.
Does it take a long time to get the shoe back once you've been fitted and?
It's
Or-
generally about 2 weeks. unless they're on back order,
Oh.
but, once we would do it, we have 2 times a week that we have our deliveries here, so then they would pick up the molds if they had molds then. If they're just getting a shoe, that can go a little bit faster because we don't have to worry about them sending the forms back to make sure the company gets them to, make them and then send them all back together. But generally about 2 weeks.
And I wanna say too, I have a lot of foot problems, and I found that, Merrell's, the name brand Merrell, has a wider toe box across here, which is, I have to get. And these Asics have a wider toe box, and I'm not sure, I don't think they have, these are really nicely lined, so there is no, some things to irritate your foot with, but there, if you're buying, another pair of shoes, there are some companies that do have the wider toe box and do have more arch support. And they're gonna be start at $100 easy also, but, and you're not gonna get the 20% off, they hardly ever go on sale, but I think that's important to, my podiatrist told me, see how this can't bend at all, and he said always get something that means they have really good arch support, so when I go shoe shopping, I'm always bending shoes in the aisle and looking at the toe box.
Another things, our shoes are, those shoes are very lightweight.
Yeah, they are.
Is a wider shoe better for you too, a little wider than having a snug one?
Well, that's why we always measure your foot just to see, because you don't want them tight that they're gonna rub, but like if you have neuropathy, you aren't gonna feel them if they're rubbing either. So after you get them, we send them home with you for a couple of days and have you just wear them 2-3 hours, a couple times a day if you want, or an hour here, an hour later in the afternoon. And then we suggest taking your shoes off, checking your foot all the way around, just to make sure there is no red spots, that it's, slipping, or if it's too tight, because then we can either get you a smaller, a larger pair, or if we have to redo something on your inserts,
So did you measure them with one of the foot gauges, or do you, I've seen before the box and they step in it, is it gel?
No, the foot, we measure with the foot gauge,
Okay.
but then if we make the insert is when they put it in like a foam.
Okay.
And then we send that cast to Dr. Comfort and they make them right there.
So special to the foot, that's pretty neat.
So,
I got a question. When you soak your foot, what are you supposed to use? Do you use a lot of, I have tracked feet.
I would do something really very mild, but when you have those dry cracked feet, it might be a good thing at night to put a good lotion on it, and then sleep with a sock,
Yeah, I've tried that.
and it still is not helping.
It doesn't seem to help. And I asked the podiatrist, I said, what do you do to soak your foot?
Yeah.
I never get an answer.
Oh, I've got some different types of body oils or that you can get over the counter, and I've soaked mine in that to just make them soft.
Oh, would you write that down for me?
Sure. Are you diabetic?
No.
No, okay.
Like I
Have you
should.
tried like the Dr. Scholl's, where you like
little
drop
penny?
where you drop like a tablet or whatever in like warm water and it just, dissolves and it kind of fizzes?
No, I've
There's
never-
also a Dr. Johnson's
A Dr.
foot powders for soaking your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Epsom salt. if that's-
Epsom
I was
salt.
gonna say Epsom
But,
salt.
I burn my foot,
Sure.
and I'm scared to use that Epsom salt on
Too
that burn.
harsh. If you look by that foot care area, there's often a lot of different soaps and gels and lotions you can take a peek at.
What do
I-
you mean? One of those books? You mean one of those books? What one of those books there with the foot care?
I don't know if that talks about, how to soften your feet. I can take a peek at it, but, if you look by that foot care section in the store, there's a lot of different products you can try.
I've gotten quite a few.
Have you?
And I got that Epsom salt, and I'm so scared to
Sure.
put that in the water, cause the top of my foot is burned,
Okay,
and I'm on, neuropathy pills.
okay.
Don't seem to help.
Okay. Have you tried like even little Vaseline at night on that
Yeah,
area with
I
a
thought
sock?
Or
Vitamin,
vitamin E.
vitamin
Oil.
E.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Vitamin E
Ooh,
oil.
have to just rip it off.
Yeah.
What did you say, vitamin E oil? I just was looking for something that might help his toes when he takes off of his shoes and socks at night. Vitamin E oil?
E.
Yes.
It's a little, like this I have. I think I just got it at Walgreens.
Just something to relieve the,
So I put that in any like crack, like if I have something on my skin, like a, you know, say a scratch or, you know, just to give, it's just vitamin E. You just, I just,
Oil.
yep.
And
I just
that's a
put Q-tip in.
natural-
It's a natural thing.
okay. I mean, anything to help
Yeah.
relieve
Sure.
that discomfort when he lays down,
Yeah.
because
Sure.
it's worse when you have to lay in bed and think about that
Yeah.
all night.
No, and here it talks that if you are diabetic, to rub a thin coat of lotion or cream on the tops and the bottoms of your feet, but not moisturize between your toes, because otherwise you could lead to other skin problems, because that moisture might stay trapped in there and might cause, you know, something else, so the tops and the bottoms. And then in here it just talks about smoothly with, one of those, a pumice stone. You know, have you tried something like that, like a little pumice stone to try and rub over the
Yeah,
rough
I've
skin?
done.
You wanna be real careful if you're diabetic, of course, with that, but,
So far, knock on wood, I'm not diabetic.
okay, good, good. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments or questions? No? So I know Jen and I were gonna ask how you guys hear about our education, just so that we can continue getting that word out there as to what you guys are interested in hearing. Do you hear about it through Terry? You do?
Like the newsletter?
Terry. The newsletter?
Okay.
Okay.
That's for Nielsen.
Okay, well, good. If any of you would be able to complete our survey, like we talked about, it's just a good, good little tool for us to use, for next year for planning as to some topics that you're interested in. That way we can bring in the experts and have them come in and hopefully you can learn from that. So I'm gonna pass these around, and if you can, if
If
you've
you
already.
filled one out last week or last month, there's no need to.
Do you wanna?
Just topics you want to hear about next
I've
year.
got a couple of pens I'll grab.
I do.
Okay, Terry will go grab some
I
pens.
will
You did
get
yours.
some.
Mine, yeah.
And you
You
did.
probably got it. And I thought we had the experts here.
Filled one out.
Right, experts are here.
So much. Okay, all right, thanks for coming. Did you fill one out? All right, thank you.
Was there any other questions before we do depart? I mean, any other questions while we have the experts here? No?
No, just lotions, if there isn't any medication, like an MP3 or something that might help his neuropathy? You know,
You
the
know-
medication, or can't you say anything?
I mean, I don't know,
Okay.
probably ask your physician
Yeah.
to go that route.
Yeah,
But that vitamin E oil moisturizer, that helps with anything on your skin. I
yeah.
shouldn't say helps, but I mean I've used it and it helped on, some cracks and whatnot, so it just brings the, that moisture to it.
And the other easy thing is that your pharmacist is so knowledgeable about medications and side effects, and even if you stop in and just have a conversation with your pharmacist to say, what are the things out there for neuropathy, so that you can then take it back to your physician and then you can have a conversation with them to see if then that is something that might work for you. But your pharmacist is just loaded.
Gabapentin 3
Okay,
times a
sure.
year.
Okay.
And that
Anybody else?
seems to hold it down, cause I tried reducing it and it got worse.
Okay,
So it does help, but that's prescription.
okay. And they might have some other ideas and, to try something in correlation with that. So not a bad idea to, just ask them, stop in. They're usually a little bit easier to get sometimes than your providers. So then you can take that information back and have a conversation with your doctor about it.
If you have vitamin E capsules, you can use those too.
What's that?
There's vitamin E capsules.
Capsules?
You can poke those and you can squeeze them out too if you just
Sure.
wanna try it.
Sure,
You know, if you're taking vitamin E already. And just use the capsules.
Sure.
I think we've done that.
okay. Good to know. Well, thank you all for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.